Hey everybody, welcome to a new season of Disney Plus The Fuss.
Ayo, glad to be back.
Good to be back, and with new things means new seasons of The Mandalorian.
Oh, that's right. And somebody decided that they wanted to, wait until the whole series was out.
I'm a binger.
And then binge it.
I'm a dirty binger. I can't wait once a week to watch one episode. They're 30 minutes long, and I'm left wanting.
You're defeating the purpose of the whole excitement, and they're trying to build something up week by week.
Well, you build all of it together in one night. Oh. Binging.
All right.
Shout out to all my dirty bingers out there.
All right. So, now that the season is out, spoiler alert for the people that. Obviously, I think if you're watching this, you probably have seen the episodes already. But,
absolutely.
So, do you want to say something really quick about... No. We'll do that later.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
All right. So, in this episode, Chapter 9, the first episode of Season 2 is called Chapter 9.
MARSHAL, Chapter 9.
Picking up pretty much right where Season 1 left off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminded us of a lot of cool, fun things. So before we jump into all that fun jazz, let's talk about stuff it reminded us of. What movies, what did this episode just made you think of?
Okay, so this episode with a guy meeting up with somebody that he doesn't know super well or can't really trust, and then they have to go on a mission, and then at the end they're all kind of happy.
Yeah.
Dude, you go first.
So this reminded me of a movie. It has nothing to do. This is the only thing it reminded me of because we're on the planet of Tatooine. Desert. We're big cave monsters and all that. And spoiler alert, you should have already seen this episode and the whole entire season by now. So we're spoiling everything. This reminded me of 2015 with Tom Hardy's Mad Max, Fury Road.
Oh, like the desert vibes?
The desert vibes.
Yeah, okay.
Lots of desert vibes. And that movie is one of my favorites.
I just want to point out, you look for any excuse to bring up Tom Hardy.
I sure do.
Just like any other straight white guy in this universe.
I really do.
We just can't get enough of this guy.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Every time my wife breastfeeds my children, I think of Mad Max Fury Road. I'm like, breast milk, it was the nectar in that movie. Then my wife's like, what are you talking about? I don't freaking know. There's just overweight women breastfeeding for the villain.
Just sign me up.
And they're just, you're calling me fat. I'm like, no, in the movie, babe. They were overweight women breastfeeding. And I was like,
oh man,
nectar.
People that haven't seen Mad Max are like, what is this? What that movie is about? It's like you'll have to watch it and find out for yourself.
Is Tom Hardy a milkman?
I don't know. That's not a Disney movie, is it? So are we allowed to even talk? We'll have to talk about that on our other podcast,
right.
Paramount.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus the fuss.
That's the fuss. That's the fuss part.
That's the for sure. Anything with breast milk is all about the breast milk. Okay. For me, it's a lot more of a recent idea. It actually reminded me of the trailer that I recently watched, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh,
which I don't want to. I know I'm not supposed to do anything that's Disney, but that's just being honest, because it's two people that aren't really supposed to
love
work
each other
together
very much.
when a Falcon and a Winter Soldier fall in love and are married, they create an original streaming show.
That makes millions of dollars.
That's how babies are made.
Lovely. Oh
no, yeah. So
okay, wait. Expand on that, bro. I don't.
So it's two dudes that aren't supposed to really be a partnership, that are forced to be a partnership because and then they go on adventures.
Yeah.
This is that we don't know if Cobb Vanth is gonna come and go, or he's gonna show up at the very end, kind of like some of the characters did in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just what it reminded me of.
Cool. Are you excited for that show?
Oh, super excited.
That is.
Let's talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Again. Sounds good. Cool. That's a great reminder. Great episode.
All right. So let's
dive right in.
Yeah. Let's give the audience an idea of the story and kind of refresh their memory.
Sounds good. So this is Chapter 9. Mm-hmm. It's called The Marshal. I'm just going to give us a quick summary of the entire episode. Sounds good, everybody?
Perfect.
So the Mandalorian has been tasked with returning his charge, a child, to its people, the Jedi. He begins searching for other Mandalorians who he believes can help him find the Jedi, and is directed to rumored Mandalorian operating out of the Tatooine towns of Mos Pelagos. So fun. There he learns that there is no Mandalorian in Mos Pelagos, but he is confronted by a marshal, Cobb Vanth, who wears his Mandalorian armor. Vanth explains that he's freed his town from the control of a mining collective using this armor, which he brought out of Jawa in the desert. The town is now frequently attacked by the crate dragons, which we'll talk about. Vanth agrees to give the Mandalorian armor back to the people in exchange for Pelgo and the local clan of Tusken Raiders to work together to kill the crate dragon in exchange for peace between the groups. They lure out the crate dragon, which ultimately killed by Mandalorian. He leaves with Vanth's armor watched by scared Boba Fett. Or scarred Boba Fett.
Scarred Boba Fett.
I'm learning how to read. I'm like a 10th grade level.
You did it. You did
Thanks,
great.
guys. We'll get better.
Oh, okay. So,
that's the episode.
I enjoyed this first episode. I thought it was a great start to the new season. Mm-hmm. I thought that the dynamic between him and Cobb Vanth was pretty interesting, and I thought that putting them up against a crate dragon, something as like formidable as that at the very beginning, was a really exciting way to start off the season, to kind of like kickstart the action, to really remind the audience like, this is the real deal. It's Star Wars. It's fresh. It's new. It's exciting. Like, stick around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it was a great episode. What are your thoughts on them going back to Tatooine? Like, can we not go to any other planet?
Yeah. Okay. I do want to bring that up. It's like, okay, new season of Mando. We saw the trailers. Like, there's more X-Wings that show up. There's more creatures and adventures and stuff. And right at the very beginning of the new season, what do we get? The same old shtick. Like, it's like, you want to go back to where we just came from? It's like, I suppose.
It could be literally any other planet that's a desert. Like, just don't make it Tatooine. We've been there way too often.
So it's like, yeah, but we called it Mos Pelgo, and there's this other place called Mos Eisley from the original trilogy, so we got to do it.
No, you're right. And that's just how you feel at the beginning of the episode, because then once you get to the end and then you see Boba, it makes more sense, and you're getting really excited because
that's like, right. You finally get a confirmation that it's Boba. Okay, so in that episode, I think it was episode 4 or something in season 1, we heard the Spurs and stuff. Yeah, and we talked about our predictions, and some of us thought it was Boba, some of us thought it was somebody else. Is that so? That was now Cobb Vanth for sure. Is that confirmed?
No, I don't think it is Cobb Vanth.
No, because he has the armor. He's had the Spurs, so I think it is.
No, dude, because he's the marshal of this town. Like, he's the sheriff. He's not going anywhere because he's keeping the town safe. So if he leaves, town's not safe.
So then Boba supposedly had that armor and then recently lost it? I don't think so. I think so. I think Boba trapped in the Sarlacc pit.
Boba. Yeah, exactly.
Sarlacc has been looking around for it, and who knows? Yeah, it could have been Cobb Vanth. It could have been another random guy that traded it off or sold it or got robbed or something like that.
But
you know?
actually, it could be Boba Fett because he does have his ship. You know what I mean? Like, he's the reason why he got off the planet.
Yep, that's
very true. And so he actually could be tracking him down. But no, actually, it makes more sense that he's tracking him down.
Right.
Because he probably hearing the same rumors that Mandalorian is about this Mandalorian guy at Tatooine.
Other Mando guy that's not him with shiny new Beskar.
Yeah.
Okay, so initial reactions. What I kind of gave mine already. Do you want to just really quick kind of recap what your initial reaction was when you first watched it?
At the beginning, I was like, okay, Tatooine. Okay, right. We're back here. What are we going to see? And then when the Marshal shows up and you're like, oh, is that Boba Fett? You get all excited. Right. And then he takes his helmet off and it's not him. The actor that plays the Marshal, he's in the show. I think it's on AMC.
What's his name? Pat something? I don't even know.
But he plays the same character.
Yeah,
he's like a cowboy sheriff.
Right.
He does a great job.
Is that Longmire? Or is that,
oh, no, yeah, I think you're right.
Is that it? I hope so.
I think so.
Okay.
But he plays the cowboy Marshal.
Yeah, he's the
current day.
He's the Western, like, kind of by the law, but also a little bit of outlaw vibes, you know? So I thought that was a really cool casting decision.
Great casting, very likable. I liked him. So the last person that we've seen this other cowboy in the saloon was when was the episode where they go and the snipers in the desert? Last season, it was that young buck.
It was the same one where Boba Fett or somebody at the very end shows up. Yeah, yeah.
So that guy just was, and watch our other episodes for that because he bugged me, man. He was not likable. He was trying way too hard.
Oh, just as far as
in season 1,
as
that
far
young
as
guy.
the acting and like the character like presentation. Oh, absolutely. That was one of the biggest like sore thumbs that stuck out in the whole season last.
The whole
last
season. Yeah. Actually, that actor was probably the reason why
Like,
I was like, oh, dang.
I was like, I didn't think that the actor was really bad, but the idea of them trying to throw in like the young kid that's trying to prove himself, it just didn't come across well. Like, it wasn't a well-written character, you know?
No. His lines, everything about him.
I mean, his acting, I don't know. Maybe the direction on him and the director kind of, when they were filming that, they just didn't work well together. I mean, he's good enough to be on a Disney show that's like Star Wars. That's such a coveted spot, so he has to be decent enough to earn it.
Right.
But it just didn't come across well. This one is really cool, where they revisited something similar, another really digging into the Western roots.
Yep.
And you're right. The guy that shows up, I was like, I liked Cobb Vanth as a character because he shows up. We got to address that he's wearing Mandalorian armor, and Mando's just like, who is this? You know what I mean? Because he's kind of been looking for his people low key while taking care of the child. And the first thing that he does is Cobb takes his helmet off, and he's just like, oh, hell no.
Hell no. Did you get that? Take that shit off.
Wait, no, put it back on.
Put it back on.
Or either you put the helmet on or take it all off. Or keep the helmet on and take the rest off. Okay. Hey, what you and your wife do in the bedroom is everybody's business. Please tell them how you tricked your wife into doing this in Boba Fett for play. Okay, so right away he knows that he's not part of the creed. This is not the way. He's like, this is not the way. Sirens are going off in his head, and they kind of get into an argument right away.
Oh yeah,
and
you almost think it's going to be a shootout.
Right, exactly. It seemed like it was going to be the Western like standoff where they were just like, do this, and the bar guy, the owner, was just kind of like, oh, please don't do this in my establishment. You know what I mean? And then it's okay. It works out. They ended up having to work together, and he ended up giving Mando the armor. And the coolest thing, because I know I've been talking a lot.
No.
Okay.
No. I love to hear your voice.
Oh, thanks, bud. I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad to see your face and hear your voice.
Thanks.
Okay, so is that in the first one we learn about the Mandalorian creed and how he's a foundling, and this is the way, and you can't ever take off your helmet, your armor. It's like this is who you are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then he meets somebody that has Mandalorian armor, and right away he's got that inner conflict. He's just like, this is not the way. This is not okay. And then at the end, he's kind of realizing maybe it's not so much about being a Mandalorian isn't so much about like the armor. You know what I mean? It's like kind of what you stand for. And there was that mutual respect, and Cobb was like honorable and gave him the armor like they agreed on. And then I think they shook hands or something. And then and that probably implanted the idea in Din Djarin's mind. He's just like, okay, maybe next time he comes across another Mandalorian character, perhaps maybe later in the season, I don't know, his outlook on people in Mandalorian armor is gonna be a little bit different than if it happened in season 1.
Right. No, yeah, I totally agree. And actually, that's one of the biggest things that I thought this season was lacking. And I don't have that much critiques of this season. It's a really great season. But the first season, you do see a little bit more of his origin as a Mandalorian, of his childhood. You didn't see much of that this year. He didn't have much flashbacks of like his history. That's okay. It's not bad that they didn't.
Right.
But I felt like they could have thrown a little bit more. Like, we're going to have 12 seasons of Mandalorian or whatever. They're going to bleed this sucker until it dies. And that's okay because we want that. But I think every season, like, just give us a little bit more of his history.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So yeah,
know?
it's not like you said, the backstory's not needed. They did a good job of sprinkling that in the first season where you're asking questions and you're wanting more. And in this season we got nothing. Like we got no flashbacks, right?
No flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of these episodes, they're episodic. Is that the word?
Episodic? Is
Episodic.
that how you pronounce it?
I think so. You know, where it's like, okay, we're going to go on an adventure here. You're going to go on an adventure here. And we like that. That's okay.
Very much by the chapter. Like,
yes.
This is a separate kind of thing. And then it loosely ties together at the end.
Exactly. And it's 30 minutes long. That's okay. But I think missing those flashbacks, you know, you're like, oh man, you're left, like our next episode that we're going to be talking about, to stay tuned for that. You kind of are left wanting a little bit. Like, this is a great episode, and we'll go into that second episode. But I think having those flashbacks would give you enough depth to where you can go on this simple journey for 30 minutes.
Right.
And the flashback's like, okay, the long story of his history is still being told. Right. And it kind of it goes a little bit deeper than, hey, listen, we're just going on an adventure this episode.
Right.
You know?
No, that's actually a super good point. And I like how you use the word depth, because all these episodes, you know, you can kind of more or less jump in and out and kind of be like, okay, this episode's this adventure. And then you could skip a week or two or watch them out of order, and it really doesn't affect the overall season story arc too much. But in season 1, with them sprinkling that in, you do get the constant reminder that this story is about Mando, and it's about his journey. It's called The Mandalorian, and even though it's like we get to see these different adventures and the relationship with Baby Yoda kind of develop and see all those questions slowly get answered, we're not really getting
to know them.
We're not getting any more depth out of Mandalorian yet.
Exactly.
And I think that was a very intentional thing that they did this season. I don't know why, because I did kind of appreciate understanding him as a foundling and his background and why he is more or less part of a cult and why he's okay with that, and they call it the creed, and why he embraces the creed as his lifestyle. That's his purpose.
Right.
And in this one, I think that they probably, with that being said, wanted to step away from that because they wanted him to take a different perspective on what it is to wear the Mandalorian armor separately from the creed. So not constantly getting those reminders, as the audience is kind of also doing a good job of giving us a perspective of what Mando's kind of going through, and he's got new eyes. He's kind of seeing things for the first time, and especially now that he doesn't have his Mandalorian crew to fall back on. Right. Because in the first season, he could go back and he could talk to the armor. The Mandalorians bailed him out big time in chapter 3 of the first season. This one, he really is kind of like the Lone Ranger. He's out on his own, and and I think that's why they did it. But I still am wanting more, and that's another intentional thing that they probably did, because the next season we're gonna get a little bit more of what's going on in his past, as well as the other Mandalorians, and then setting it up for the big picture of what's going to happen in the end of the series.
And, you know, even just jumping out of the world into our world of Disney, season 1, new Disney characters. We have never heard of Mandalorian before. These are new Star Wars characters, and we're all excited to get to know them. So you need that background stuff. They did that in season 1. It went great. Great reviews. Everyone's excited for season 2. Disney's like, okay, let's go. This season is more of like, okay, everybody, now we're going to launch everything else. The spinoffs are coming, and that's almost business-wise. Yeah. It was more a focus of like, we're introducing people you may have already seen in a different show, whether it's a cartoon or live action or a book or whatever, a video game. Check it out. Spin-off. We're announcing it. So, and I'm okay with that because they did a good job of it. I don't think they jammed it down our throats.
It didn't feel too much like fan service.
Exactly.
Not too much.
Exactly. So I'm excited for season 3. Like, okay, I get that. Great business move. Disney Plus has only been alive for a year.
Right.
They are so strategic to the point of they went live with streaming on October of 2018 or 19. I bought a year. A lot of people just bought. It was $70. You buy a year. Season 2 came out October 31st when that year was up, where you have to resubscribe. So it was really smart of them. And you got to think of the business too, because that's how they're making these things.
You do have to address that. Like, because it's a brand new thing, they have to be, every decision has to be completely intentional in that way. And season 2 was definitely, it did a good job at continuing on a great series. So they did that, but then the marketing for the other characters that have their own spinoffs, like you already brought up, does that make you frustrated that they're focusing more on plugging more things into other Disney assets instead of doing the best job that they can? Does that take away from season 2 being the best season that it can be?
So this is why, and I think the world of Star Wars should be a show. Like, they should have seasons.
True.
You shouldn't make movies. I think the biggest thing Disney should realize is, like, we should probably stop making 2.5-hour movies, trying to cram all this content in one thing, because that's where I have grace of like, all right, okay, you're right. I'd be upset if this was a 2-hour movie about, oh great, there's gonna be another movie about another character. But because it's like, I know there's gonna be a season 3, I'm okay with it as long as we keep going with the story.
True. Good point. Yeah, really good point. I'm glad that you brought up the movies. One thing that I want to add on top of that, dude, I'm really, really stoked that you're bringing up the points that you are, because it's getting my gears rolling, you know? We wouldn't be getting as cool of Disney Plus original TV shows if the Disney movies didn't make as much money as they did.
Yes.
And we already know how we feel about the last trilogy. The Star Wars movies recently, like the 2-hour huge budget, makes a lot of money, but it's almost no good.
It's all in vain.
Like, it is. It's so it's like, what's the point? Now we know the point is, whether you agree that it's the best thing to do or not, is they need to make money. They need to make a whole lot of money so that they can fund these other really cool projects. And I totally am on board with you after this second season, because you can't really judge based on one season. After the second season, I'm like, yep, the Star Wars universe, the stories and characters are best told in an episodic format.
Give me
really
30
is.
minutes.
Yep.
Don't give me 2.5 hours. It's too much saturation. No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And so, you know what? For as much as I wanted to see more of in this season, it doesn't mean that we're not going to see it in the third season. I do think that overall, I still give this season 2 thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And we're going to dive deeper into breaking down the other episodes, because we're going to be doing another podcast for every single episode. We're going to be releasing one every week. So there's going to be a ton of stuff to be talking about. It's going to be super, super awesome.
Oh, yeah. And then diving more into, because we're reviewing Mandalorian, but really this is Disney Plus The Fuss.
It all ties
really
together.
Great thing that Disney Plus The Fuss did was they did season 1, and then something that none of us really saw, and a lot of people probably didn't watch it, but the people that did appreciate the show even more, is the Mandalorian gallery of how they made the show. Did you watch that?
Oh, I've watched it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It's insightful.
It's so insightful,
cool.
And you realize that they took a risk with Mandalorian. You know, I'm pretty sure this is the first show that they did the LED 360 screens all around, creating these backgrounds with this high technology. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the Mandalorian gallery, because it's amazing how they're creating it on a lower budget.
Yeah.
They're creating these backdrops to where COVID happened, 2020 is a wash, you can't go on site or location to film. That did not stop Mandalorian. They were able to make all these amazing space adventures in the safety of their studios because of how awesome of it's amazing, the technology. It's not a green screen anymore, and it's amazing.
It's the new technology is replacing green screen, which real Star Wars fans are so excited about because of what happened in the prequels. It's like green screen and the blue screen that George Lucas used just drained the life out of so much of that story. And they have this new technology, and it's like, well, it's just going to replace the old thing. Is it really going to do a better job? Is it going to serve a better purpose of the backdrop and telling the story? It does.
It does.
Like, it's super cool.
Oh, man. Season 1, you have no idea that most of those scenes were in a studio.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Really cool, right?
Really great stuff.
Okay, so let's
back to the episode.
No, it's about that time
Yeah.
where we need to already give it a rating. So if there's anything that you want to comment on the end of the episode, as far as like them teaming up, oh dude, we just need to do like a part 2 for this one, because we haven't talked about the Tusken Raiders yet.
There's so much.
Talked about the crate
episode.
dragon. Oh man.
All right. Well, it looks like this is gonna leave you on a cliffhanger, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Because we are about almost 25 minutes in. This one could just be a longer one.
Yeah.
Let's just do that. That'd be easier.
It's
right?
the first episode of our new season of Disney Plus The Fuss.
All right, you know what? You're right. We need to. Yeah, we're dusting the cobwebs off, you guys. We got to figure out. We got to get our.
And I know you listeners are enjoying all this extra content about Disney Plus The Fuss.
Yep. Okay,
too good.
So we know that the mission for Mando and Cobb Vanth, they have to team up to take down this crate dragon, which is terrorizing the people. And really, Mando's kind of like a folk hero. So it's in line with his moral code that he needs to help these people. And so they go, and we're like, what's a crate dragon? You know what I mean?
They give you the sample, like Jaws like swimming through the water.
In the
we're
sand.
Like, that's low-key a crate dragon, and it's just like a friggin' subway driving through the city. That was intense, and I was like, okay, it's kind of big. But then when we joined with the Tusken Raiders, where it's like the Sand people.
It's really bringing in more of the Western vibes that I love so much because it's basically like the Native Americans, the cowboys and Indians, you know?
Yep, exactly.
And they don't understand each other, and then they have to work together to fight this crate dragon. And you know what? If crate dragons were a real thing, Native Americans and cowboys probably would have gotten along better because they would have had a common enemy instead of fighting each other.
Do you have any critique of the Tusken Raiders? I've got one.
You've got one?
I've got one critique of the sand people in this episode.
I do. I want to point out. I have
wonder if we're on the same page with
I have a
this.
thumbs up. I've got a positive thing to say.
All right, let me give you the bad news first, and then you can say what you like about them.
What's the bad news?
My thoughts on the Tusken Raiders, they were too, like, civil. You know what I mean? Like, you watch the first original one where Luke gets knocked the freak out, and he's like, and it's like, oh my gosh, these people are crazy.
They're bandits. They're straight bandits.
These ones in this were a little too like, yeah, we don't like each other, but you know, we're gonna work together. It was too much of that. There should have been a little bit more tension of like these Aborigine. I guess I can't say that.
You can say the Tusken Raiders.
The Tusken Raiders. That's my only critique. It was great, but I just felt like they were too civilized.
Okay.
Do you vibe with that?
I understand where you're coming from. I don't know enough about Tusken Raiders or like the books or anything.
Right.
I imagine that there's different tribes of Tusken Raiders.
Okay.
And these
fair.
ones are different, so maybe. But they should have been more like Raiders and bandits.
Yeah.
Because that's who they're supposed to be. But they're trying to humanize everything, and they're trying to give Star Wars depth in the universe because not everything's black and white. There's a gray area.
No, you're right.
And before they would be fighting each other. They would steal and stuff and kill each other until now. And then maybe this is the first time ever that they're really working together.
Right. Well, and I mean, if you just give me like 3.5 minute fight scene where the Tusken Raiders are trying to like beat the Mandalorian and the Marshal's ass, and then they realize like, oh, Mandalorian can speak Tuscanese. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. The cool thing that I wanted to point out was whenever Mando and Cobb were going down that canyon or whatever, and there was those desert dog alien creatures, you know, they did the sound that Ben Kenobi did in episode 4, which is basically mimicking the crate dragon sound.
Oh, wow.
So they're afraid of that. So what scared off the Tuskens in episode 4 that you're like, why would one dude making that sound spook off like all these people? It's because of the crate dragon. They've seen the crate dragon mess people up. So there you go.
I love that treasure right there.
That's a great Easter egg. That's a really good callback.
That is awesome. Yeah. That is cool. And this is the show for fans, maybe not super fans, but you'll enjoy them all. But I think a lot of our listeners probably just enjoyed the little Easter egg. So thank you for that.
We're nerds, but we might not be geeks.
That's right. Exactly. And this is the average Joe's man's show.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a lovely Easter egg.
Yeah.
So they team up together. They do a little sample. They're like, what is that moose buffalo looking thing called? I don't even remember what it's called.
The mammoth thing
mammoth thing. Yeah. Where they're like, we're going to bait them. And then this big freaking.
Was it? Okay. So you got, like you said, you saw the Jaws thing swimming under the sand. They were telling stories about it. When it finally popped up and it was attacking the bait that they had, the little animal, was it? What was your impression on that? What was your thoughts whenever you saw that thing finally show up?
That thing was big, man. Dude, I was like, this is like gonna be.
This is no joke.
No joke.
Because in the first season, he goes up against like a Rhine horn or something like that. Like it's basically like a desert bull, space bull.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Mando had a hard time facing that thing, and then this thing shows up, and I'm like, dude, most of these people are gonna die. That's what I thought. I was like,
yeah,
Mando's gonna be fine, but I was like, Cobb's probably gonna get his legs bit off. Like,
how dark if this became like just a planet genocide? Like, oh god.
Oh man. So it is still Star Wars, and for the show, it makes sense that they had to defeat the bad guy. But it was a real challenge. Like Mando, to defeat it, he had to go inside of it, which is a callback to Boba Fett and the Sarlacc, and then getting out because of the Beskar armor. So it tied it all together really well. I was super, super stoked on this first episode.
And this episode, looking at the first episode, you know, the mixture of this show being a kids show, but also we're also catering to our nostalgic adults, the parents of these kids, or just young adults in general. This one elevated the violence in a good way. I think they didn't go across the board like, gosh, this is so gory. But the action scenes, the fighting scenes, like there was, like you said, a lot of epic work to kill this crate dragon. And you see this one, like he goes back into the cave and you're like, oh man, I think they won. And then he shoots out of the mountain, he's spitting his ass, and you're like, oh, this is crazy. It was a roller coaster and it was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
Loved it. So
do you want to see more crate dragons or other, like, I mean, I know that at some point there's going to be other big monsters, but this one really brought it up the next level. And I'm if they can already pull this off in the first season, like we're going to see a lot more cool stuff.
Oh yeah. They hit a home run the first episode, thought it was amazing. And then right when it's over, they introduce this giant return of Boba Fett.
Right. And then you just, when you're on that emotional high, you're like pretty satisfied, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you get to see confirmed Mr. Morrison. I forget his first name. Sorry. The actor's last name is Morrison. He plays the original Django in episodes 1 through 3, and he shows up and he's there, and you know that now that Mando has his armor, their paths are finally going to cross, and that was a really cool moment.
It was a really cool moment because at the beginning of the episode, you're like, oh, Boba Fett's back. Psych. Yes, he is. He is back. And you're like, oh, sweet. I'm all giddy. I'm a little girl or a little boy.
There was a lot of, I do want to say there was a lot of giddy moments in this season. Like more than the first season. There was a lot of nostalgic, like wonder.
Nostalgic wonder. But the beauty of this, and this is like a praise to the writers, Jon Favreau, is that it wasn't like too fan servicey to a point where it's just annoying.
They found a really good balance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Great first episode.
Jon Favreau is him, and I forget the other guy's name. We're so bad. Maybe we'll check it out before
Ron Howard's daughter.
Oh no, not this again.
Not this again.
They are Jon Favreau and the other main dude. They are like single-handedly, like not just saving, but like restoring Star Wars, like to where
A New Hope.
Really see what actually that joke is the very first episode. No, sorry.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's with all that being said, let's give this one a letter rating. Pluses and minuses are exciting.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think? What would you give this as a first episode, chapter 9 of?
Oh, it was great,
2?
man.
What would you give?
I'm giving this an A+, dude.
An A+?
An A+. I'm going to the top, and that's okay because I binged this episodes. I'm going to be given, and our scale, it's a normal academic scale.
Yes.
F to A+. Pluses and minuses entailed. This is an A+ for me. It really is.
Wow.
Because I've got some episodes that aren't going to be this high, so I'm going to be generous with the first one, and I think it deserves it.
Okay. Sure. I'm going to give it an A. I was maybe going to give it an A-. I remember.
Wow.
Because I was thinking of the letter grade. I was like, what am I going to say on the podcast? But I wanted to give it an A instead of an A- because it is the first episode of the season. So how much can it actually deliver? And really that teasing of, is it Boba Fett? No, it's not. But it's another interesting character. The Crate Dragon, you get to see more of the Tusken people kind of like explained, even if you didn't like it. I appreciate what they were doing. And then at the end, you get the confirmation that it is Boba. I'll give it an A. If it was on a different planet other than Tatooine, maybe an A+.
No, you're right. You're right. Good point. Yeah. And then those villains that took over in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
They looked like the Underminer from The Incredibles. the Underminer! Didn't they?
Yeah. Behold! Oh, no. Oh, dude, we didn't actually say anything about that. So, Cobb Vanth is like the Marshal of Mos Pelgo and, that surrounding area on Tatooine. And he was saying, not... the victory that the rebels had over the Empire in Return of the Jedi, as soon as like the Death Star was destroyed, that didn't mean like the Empire's gone, like everybody's like living like peace, love, let's do it. There was like a power vacuum.
Yeah.
So there was that struggle right away, and he's like, literally, like we didn't even have time to celebrate. People came in, the miners came in.
The Underminers.
Good job, Disney.
Great job, Disney. Full circle. If Mr. Incredibles is in season 3, I'm gonna freak.
Don't rule it out. Don't rule
it out, baby.
So that part of the world building, like, that got me
clever.
really, really excited. I'm like, okay, so we're going to see.
Almost wants to give it a plus, huh?
But I'm gonna. I'll give it a Disney Plus. The first.
Hey, yo.
Go ahead and follow us on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. And we are streaming on Spotify. We are streaming on Apple Podcasts. And I think we're on Google Play. And if not, we will be someday.
Yeah, and just give us a review. That'll be really great, you know.
That helps us grow a lot. And we're going to be coming out with new episodes of The Mandalorian every week. We're going to be doing that, as well as more stuff about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and other Disney things related, like the Mighty Ducks.
That's right.
That's
and
right.
Check out our YouTube channel.
That's right. So we'll be sharing more of that on social medias. You did want to bring up one last quick segment, right? About something else.
We're
ahead.
talking about, this is called Senior Standouts.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you've seen that stood out to you in a good way or a bad way lately.
Okay.
So you can start us off with this, unless you want me to start off.
I want you to start off again, because...
So we are recording this episode on New Year's Eve. A week ago, Christmas Day, a movie came out, Wonder Woman, 1984.
Mm-hmm.
This stood out to me in a negative way. This movie, I watched it on HBO Max. This is the fuss part of this show. It's not just Disney Plus. It was just okay to me.
Okay.
And my wife has never seen the first one, and we started the first one after watching the second movie, and she's like, wow, this movie is so much better than the second one. And so, two standouts. The first, Wonder Woman, really great movie. Well done. Second one, bummer.
Big letdown.
Big letdown.
Now, I think that the studio, like the executive people behind Wonder Woman 2 and DC, understood that this movie was a lot weaker than the first one. Because really, the first Wonder Woman's like the best DC movie that they made since The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of, you can argue.
Excluding Nolan's trilogy, this Wonder Woman is the best DC movie they've made.
The new revamp of the DC Justice League. Yeah, the first Wonder Woman, I think everybody should agree, is the best one. And whenever they saw how lackluster this one was, especially during the pandemic, and they knew they were going to lose money on it anyway because it could be released in theaters, they were like, we might as well kind of cut our losses and release it on HBO, kind of promote that, because DC's got that thing with HBO now and they have all their content on there. But it doesn't, that's not an excuse. The movie's still not good. I haven't watched it yet, but I remember talking to you about it, and I, instead of watching, what I can do instead of paying to stream something that I don't know about, I'll read a lot of the reviews, and there were so many mixed reviews. It had like an average like critic score of like low 60s, which is really bad for a big budget film like this. Oh yeah, poor Gal Gadot.
I know. And this is how this relates to The Mandalorian is are the Mandalorians in the Wonder Woman 1984. He's the villain.
Pedro Pascal is what Max Lord or something.
Max Lord, and he's almost in it more than Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So that I won't dive too much more into it. Watch Wonder Woman. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But yeah, just subpar. It's a bummer after a great first launching of Wonder Woman. Such a great first movie. But it's okay. DC, we know that's DC, man, and that's a bummer for them. Yeah. Hopefully they'll get better as they go on.
So what I wanted to say as my little point, what you call it, your senior
senior standouts.
My senior standouts. I like that it's called senior standouts because this is an old idea.
Ooh, cool.
And it's been a long time coming. The Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League has been recently announced that it's going to be coming out in 4-hour-long segments. It's not going to be released as one long movie.
Oh, wow.
So they filmed, I think it's about 40 minutes or something like that of new footage.
Brand new footage.
And they're re-editing stuff. They're cutting things out. So is it going to save that movie? No. But is it going to do a better job of telling a story and presenting that world so that they can, they invested a lot into this universe. They're going to try to build off that the way that Marvel did so it can span 20 years and they can keep making money and making money. But they're rushing it so much that they botched it. And obviously Zack Snyder started it and then it got passed off somebody else in it. So I'm interested because this has never been done before.
It's new. It's fresh.
And it's connected to the Mandalorian and Disney stuff because it's being released in episodes, episodic. And I think what they're going to do is kind of like what Mandalorian did. They're going to spread it out. They're not going to release all 4 at the same time. You can pay for it or whatever, but it's going to be released. So it's going to give people more time to talk about it. It's going to give it more buzz, kind of the way television used to be. And for better or for worse, that's probably what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And at least for Mandalorian, something short and episodic like that, where you're left with a lot of questions, they do a really good job with that kind of format. It's good. Is that same format going to lend itself to being a good thing for a hour-long portion of a movie? Is that...
It might. And, for our viewers that are simple, and I'm getting nicer with my critiques of films in general, we can't hold DC to the standards of Marvel. We just can't.
You should, though. I don't. Okay.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, because
though.
it's like that's never been done before. What Marvel did had never been done before. Not everything was a success. Iron Man 2, Thor: Dark Side, the Hulk movies. There was a few turns in that punch bowl.
Hulk.
What do you mean? Edward Norton stuck around, dude. Edward Norton is such a good.
I wish
actor.
he stuck around.
No. It's Edward Norton. Like, that's not Mark Ruffalo. That's Edward Norton
Acting as Mark Ruffalo.
And you're like,
amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. So
Fight Club all over again.
So when you say it can't. When you say it can't be, I understand you can't capture the magic that's already happened.
Pro sports.
But with that being said, if you saw a professional game and how everything should be executed perfect, and the mistakes that they did and how you can avoid that, you should be able to be like, cool, we're going to use the same amount of money, use you guys as the example, and adapt our own characters to the same strategy, and it should work, right? Because it's the same audience. It's pretty much the same audience, but they didn't do that. They went out and played college ball on a pro field, and they're getting trashed.
Dude, you're so right.
Sorry, no. Your opinion's good, but from my perspective, no. There's no excuse. You guys have failed over and over and over again. Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, 1984. Come on, you guys. Like, stop trying to cut corners and take the easy way out and thinking you're gonna make enough money. Like, develop a good story and put out a good product.
You almost don't even need to develop a good story. Just do what Marvel did and follow the comic books. Do the stories that have been made.
In my opinion, I haven't read a lot of comic books, but the ones that are better are the DC ones. Yeah. They're a little bit darker in tone. It's just I don't know why they keep screwing up so bad.
And they just have an identity crisis, because they're like, people like this dark stuff. Let's go so freaking dark that it makes people uncomfortable.
It's cheesy almost. It's like so dark where it's like, okay, now we just know that you're trying to be as dark as you can.
Exactly. But anyways, Oh God. If Zack Snyder adds the Green Lantern to the Justice League, because he should have been in the movie in the first place,
or Martian Manhunter. I don't know. Okay, we're talking a lot about.
We are.
All right, so. All right, you guys, thank you for checking out this episode. Obviously, we're pumped about all the new content that's going to be coming out, and
Disney
all the new news.
And all the fuss we talk about.
That's right. So join us every week. Check us out on social media and subscribe on YouTube, because that's going to be like the best place to check out what we're pumping out week in, week out.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys, check you on the next one.